Is it already time for Manchester United to be considering the future of their goalkeeper, Andre Onana? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video we're centering around the goalkeeper known as Andre Onana, currently, of course, of Cameroon and Manchester United, who hasn't exactly had the dream start to his Manchester United career that he, his club, and the Manchester United fan base were hoping for when he made that big money move from Inter this past summer. Of course, Onana arrived at Manchester United at Old Trafford in this past summer in the last transfer window for a fee believed to be somewhere in the region of £47.5 million. And so far, his career hasn't exactly hit the ground running at Old Trafford, with it being littered and plagued with mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And seemingly against Galatasaray on Wednesday night, his mistakes in that game, which led to Manchester United's Champions League and maybe even Europa League future hanging in the balance, hanging by a thread, has seemingly been the straw that broke the camel's back. With a lot of United fans claiming that they should maybe drop him to the bench and give their reserve goalkeeper a try, or maybe they should actually consider being ruthless and actually selling him. We're going to be talking about this Andre Onana situation. We're going to be talking about Onana, Manchester United, and everything else in between. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always greatly appreciated. And of course, for you lot to get involved in the comment section below. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on this potential topic. And I'd love to hear from you on whether you think that Onana should be kept faith with, whether he should be sold, or whether he should just be dropped for future matches. It'd be very interesting to me to gauge the opinions and everything else of you guys, so do get involved down below in that comment section. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk Andre Onana, let's talk Manchester United and everything else in between. As always with these videos, I like to say first and foremost, I am a Liverpool fan if you're obviously new to the channel, so I will try and talk about this issue in an open, honest, and fair and neutral way. Of course, I am a Liverpool fan, so I do apologise if obviously the odd banterous comment is thrown in there, but of course that is the nature of football. It has been funny to watch Onana play the way that he has and United struggle the way that they have because of this goalkeeper that everybody, and I include myself in this, thought was going to be incredible, thought this was going to be groundbreaking, thought this was going to revolutionise Manchester United under Erik ten Hag, change the way that they play, a real game changer, change the dynamic of the way that they play, the style of play and everything else in between. But so far it hasn't quite panned out that way. What we have seen of Onana is a goalkeeper who has produced the best and the worst of him, in my opinion. We have seen Onana actually put in some decent performances. He's actually been okay. Before that Galatasaray game, it was actually okay for a few games. He was producing some great saves, producing some good performances, and he was helping United win some really crucial games. And, you know, that's part of the reason why United were going into the Premier League campaign, at least, as one of the more informed teams of the division. So a big part of that was actually down to Onana. But the way that their Champions League campaign hangs by a thread, he's not the be-all and end-all of their issues and problems in either competition, whether it be domestically or in Europe. But he's a big part as to why their Champions League campaign hangs by a thread. Mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake has been made by this goalkeeper in the Champions League especially. And when you consider that United have been very entertaining to watch in the Champions League, they have scored, they're one of the highest scorers, but they've also conceded the second joint highest goals, I believe I'm right in saying that. A large part of it is down to the goalkeeper, and his mistakes on Wednesday night seem to be just basically a painting of everything that we've seen of Onana this season so far. He made a couple of good saves in that game, but ultimately the mistakes were telling, and the mistakes ultimately cost United, and they potentially cost United a place in the next round of the Champions League. They hang by a thread. United have to hope that both Galatasaray and Copenhagen draw in match day 6 of the Champions League group stage, and that United beat, of all teams, Bayern Munich, who I don't even remember the last time Bayern Munich lost a group stage game. The weird thing about football is, it could potentially happen. As mad as that may seem, as weird as that may seem, it could potentially happen. I wouldn't put it past. It's unlikely, but we've seen madder things happen. And yeah, it don't sound great when I say that, and I hope it doesn't happen, of course, and I hope United don't even drop down to the Europa League. But at the same time, it could obviously happen. There is obviously a chance. Unlikely chance, but there's a slim chance. You know the whole, like, I think, is it Dumb and Dumber quote? It's like, so you're saying there's a chance? I am, but it's very, 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 very wafer thin. Very wafer thin. Very. From a Liverpool perspective, other than laughing at Manchester United and laughing at Onana, I'm obviously coming from a team that has seen a lot of bad goalkeepers over the years. A lot of bad goalkeepers. Some good. A fair few good. Mostly, whether it be first team or second choice, bad. I can only really say the likes of Jerzy Dudek for his Champions League heroics. I can only say that Pepe Reina for the first few years of his Liverpool career. And of course, the best in the world, in my opinion, in Alisson Becker as being top quality. Alisson Becker in particular, God mode of a goalkeeper. God mode of a goalkeeper. But the one goalkeeper that I would compare Onana to would be Loris Karius. Now, everyone remembers the infamous Loris Karius, and of course one particular moment in his Liverpool career, the Champions League final of 2018, of course. Before that, though, he actually had some pretty decent performances and was seemingly gaining confidence. And obviously, the price tag is nothing to be compared at. We bought Karius for what I believe was around about £5 million. Onana was bought for £47.5 million, or somewhere in that region. The price tag is very, very different. Karius, though, when he first came into Liverpool and to the Premier League, was littered with mistakes. He was making mistakes left, right and centre. And then partway through the season, we started to change from Simon Mignolet to Loris Karius. And Karius was actually starting to perform well. He was actually doing some good performances. There was always the risk that he was always going to drop an absolute clanger. But at the same time, he was seemingly growing in confidence. He was seemingly adjusting to the Premier League, and he was seemingly adjusting to Liverpool as well. And it was allowing him to grow in confidence and obviously to put in better performances. So much so that we trusted him enough to obviously play in the Champions League final. And we all know how that ended. And we all know it ended badly, even worse for Karius, because he was ultimately replaced that summer with the signing of Alisson freaking Becker. The Onana situation strikes me as the same, because we have seen the best of Andre Onana. I feel like he's produced some very good performances, produced some very good saves, and is a big reason why United's form has taken off in recent weeks the way that it has. But we've also seen him drop some absolute clangers. And like I say, he's not the be-all and end-all reason as to why United are almost out of the Champions League and are, you know, top 6, top 7 in the Premier League table right now. But he is a big part of that reason. United could have accumulated more points in the Premier League had he maybe been better in certain scenarios. And obviously, in the Champions League, United could actually be further along and maybe even already qualified had Onana been better in goal. We also saw him save plenty of times in the Everton game. He was probably the best player in a United shirt against Manchester City. He also produced the match-winning penalty save in United's win against Copenhagen in the Champions League. So there have been some really bright moments from Onana, but ultimately the bad outweighs the good. In the same way it did for Loris Karius, the bad outweighed the good. And ultimately that's what cost Loris Karius his place for Liverpool, and potentially what could eventually cost Onana his place at Manchester United. I feel like when he first came into United, we were all blindsided by this goalkeeper that had just had a brilliant campaign with Inter, was being heavily raved about and heavily praised for the way that he is a modern day goalkeeper. A goalkeeper who is confident with the ball at his feet, an adequate shot stopper, but mainly can be a game changer for any team because of the way that he's confident with the ball at his feet, play out from the back, and his distribution is very, very good. I feel like we were all blindsided by that. Me especially. I was blindsided by that because I saw it a fair amount in the Champions League. I watch a few Inter games a season. I'm not a religious fan of Serie A, but occasionally, I watch the big Inter games. This guy was good. This guy was very, very good. Now, we haven't exactly seen it on a consistent level at Manchester United, and of course, with United taking on Newcastle tonight, it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight, because going forward now, everything is going to be put under the microscope with this guy. Every kick, every save, potential save, maybe save, should have been saved. Everything like that is going to be put under the microscope with this guy. And I feel like a lot of us maybe overrated maybe this guy going forward. And it's going to be interesting to see, like I say, how he copes with that. Is it a confidence issue? Is it maybe not understanding the league? Is it maybe not understanding the club? Is it maybe underestimating the weight of the badge, the weight of expectation, the weight of your price tag? Is it a confidence issue for Onana? Is there something else? Maybe his distribution part of his game is being flawed by the way that he looks out in front of him and he sees the likes of Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay and Johnny Evans in front of him and thinks, why am I going to pass to them when they're not very good on the ball? Counter argument to that could possibly be, well, play the way that Erik ten Hag wants you to play, and therefore it won't be on you how they play. But with you and your poppadom hands, that is on you. The individual mistakes that you are making is definitely on you. So what is it to be? Is it a confidence issue? Is it not having the right players around you issue? I don't know. Or is it that we just overrated him to begin with? I don't know what the case is. But I think it is a genuine confidence issue that I think you just have to, as a goalkeeper, play through. As anybody else on the pitch, you can maybe rotate. You can maybe drop out for a few games, let someone else have a go, and come in as a sub and work your way back through having 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 45 minutes here and there. As a goalkeeper, it's a bit more ruthless and it's a bit more cutthroat, isn't it? So it could potentially just be that particular confidence issue that's affecting him. What's not going to help as well, I don't think, or, well, it depends really. It could help, it might not help. Is the fact that obviously the David De Gea situation continues to rumble on in the background and he isn't even at the club anymore. Now, I've said time and time again, I don't necessarily agree with the way that United got rid of David De Gea. I don't necessarily agree with the way that they were so ruthless about it, but I understand why they did it. I understand why the ruthlessness had to be apparent and why the likes of Onana had to come in to obviously accommodate for the void that De Gea was going to be leaving. But at the same time, this whole thing, which seems to be heavily media driven, I'm not saying this is heavily United fan driven or this is heavily club driven. This seems to be heavily media driven, but it's not going to be helping him in any way, shape or form that the goalkeeper he was set to replace is basically having this whole illusion around him of, well, we didn't realise what we had until it went. We didn't realise how good De Gea was till he went. Now, I'm not saying De Gea was amazing. De Gea was clearly showing signs of decline. He's not a modern-day goalkeeper like what Onana was perceived to be. He's not the David De Gea that was in his prime at Manchester United anymore, because let's face it, David De Gea in his prime was certainly great. He was certainly on the decline in terms of his shot stopping and everything in the final couple of years of his United career, but he was still a very good goalkeeper that basically did the basics of being a goalkeeper. Kept the ball out the back of his net. Onana's struggling to do that right now, and with this seemingly media-driven thing of David De Gea may return, David De Gea may return, David De Gea may return, and let's face it, with Onana going off to the African Cup of Nations, De Gea is still a free transfer, he's still available to be snapped up on a free transfer by anyone and anyone. I don't think that will help. Alternatively, though, on a counter-argument, having maybe a challenging number one goalkeeper could help Onana go forward. Maybe having someone with experience of playing for United, and also someone who went through a bit of a turbulent time himself at the beginning of his United career, may help Onana. If you remember, cast your minds back to when De Gea first signed for United, he wasn't exactly great when he first came in. There was a lot of criticism over the way that he commanded the area, the way that he was naive in his decision making, the way that he was seemingly indecisive when the ball was whipped into the box or floated into the box and he had to come out and command his area. Those were some of the things that were ultimately against De Gea when he first came in, and he learned to grow in confidence, grow in stature, grow in physicality to the Premier League to obviously accommodate and to obviously defend himself better. That's what De Gea was able to do during his time at United. Onana is going through that right now, and I think majority of it is definitely a confidence issue. There may also be stuff going on behind the scenes we're not completely aware of, but I think a lot of it is down to confidence, and I would argue that United need to play their way through this, and Onana needs to play his way through this, because the more experience he gets, the more game time he gets, the more he's going to grow as a player, grow as a goalkeeper, and hopefully, for United fans at least, get better as a goalkeeper. He's going to grow in confidence, grow in stature. That's obviously the overall aim and overall hope. But also, if they were to get rid of him, you're going around in circles again. You will have to bring in a new goalkeeper. And as I've already said, United seemingly have other problems in other areas that need to be addressed. And I would say that they need to be addressed a bit more urgently than what this goalkeeper does. You need to get rid of some of the dead wood that's still there at your club. You need to improve on the players that are already there. You need to fill in holes across the team, particularly the fullback positions, I think. Maybe the other centre-back. Obviously, there's a CDM position that I still think is a bit up in the air. Mainu and Amrabat seem to be the future, so maybe that is okay for now. But central midfield needs to have a bit more stability behind it. The wing positions need to be improved upon. There are just a fair few issues at Manchester United I think need to be looked at more than just this goalkeeping situation, which I just see as something that maybe with a bit more confidence under his belt, it could come good. The mistakes are abysmal, not denying that, and I would be absolutely fuming and angry if obviously my goalkeeper was to make those mistakes on a regular basis. Fortunately, I've got Alisson Becker, so they don't happen on a regular basis. They just seem to happen whenever Liverpool play City at the Etihad. But no, as I'm saying, like I say, it is an interesting topic. It is an interesting thought. It is an interesting topic of debate, and I would love to know your thoughts and feelings on it personally. For me, I'm saying that United need to maybe stick with him for a little bit longer. See if they can somehow work with him personally, mentally, grow his confidence, and take it from there. But yes, those mistakes are certainly concerning. But like I say, we have seen some glimpses of what he can do between the sticks at Manchester United. But those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this Andre Onana situation at Manchester United? Should he stay and be continued to be the preferred number one in goal at Old Trafford? Or should he leave? Or should he be dropped to the bench? I'm interested to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on this particular topic down below in the comment section, because I'm sure it'll make for interesting and great reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always very greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Flex Talks video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video, live stream, or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Take care. Speak to you all again very soon.